You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. What's up, girl? I got a question for you. Did you ever have the money to pay your bills and didn't pay them? Now, I want you to tell me the truth on this because I already know the answer.
Yes, you do know the answer because when you found out, you were super mad. You were so upset. Like, why would you only pay half of the bill when you have all the money? Well, it's the way I was brought up. It's kind of the education. I was never financially taught. I didn't have any financial teaching growing up. I was the type of person that always had to have some type of money saved to the side. So I would pay just enough of the bills to get by. And that was before we got together. So I come from a single family home. So I was just me and my mom and my 4 brothers and sisters. So it was a lot of us. So she had to do a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So that's the kind of lifestyle that I grew up in. That's the financial education that I had.
Gotcha. Yeah. So finances is it entails a lot of different things, right? And one of the things that we're going to tackle today is family finances, individual finances, business finances, investments. It could go anywhere. But like you said, financial education is where it all starts. And you're absolutely correct because I'm in the same boat. Like financial education wasn't something that was taught in the home. And then, of course, we all know it's not taught in school either.
Yeah, exactly. They teach you like how to count. They teach you how to multiply, divide, how to count the money, right?
Yeah, how to give away the money.
Yeah.
How to spend the money.
Yeah. But not how to cop and keep the money.
Exactly. And it's interesting because, you learn about money when you pay. Do you remember paying for your lunch in school?
Well, I had free lunch, so I got cards or little
tickets.
Yeah, so I remember selling those same tickets to people though. That was actually one of my first hustles. So
your first business?
Yeah.
so you were selling those tickets.
$1.25 each. Yeah.
And I was using those tickets to eat.
You were in the line.
Yeah,
it was
hungry.
2 lines. It was the free lunch line and then it was the ticket line. And all I had to do is sell them the ticket. You don't even gotta wait in line. Come over here. I give you the ticket. You just go ahead.
Exactly. And but just even thinking about that, like. That was how we was raised, was just give them it was a coupon, right? Yeah. Give them the coupon, you get your lunch. But other people had to actually pay for their lunch.
True. And
that was their first financial education. It's I'm going to give you $2 because the lunch costs $1.25 and you got change back. And that's where but we didn't have that because we had the free lunch, right?
Right.
We had the coupons.
Yeah. It's true.
But you're right. The very first time I seen you pay the bill, or I didn't even see you pay the bill. It was a recurring bill, and I was like, damn, why does the bill keep going up? And then I was like, oh, you paying half the bill. My mind was blown. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
I pay the bill half every single time. I just pay a little bit on it. I mean, I remember when I first got my first checkbook, and I assumed that as long as I had checks, I had money. So that got old real quick. Like, wait, I don't understand. I still remember they cut my first debit card in half, and I was heartbroken. But it was a hard lesson. But it was my lesson in money.
Who cut the debit card in half?
At the bank.
The bank cut the debit card in half.
I won't disclose which bank it was, but I from there on, I never took my card back to the banks. Whatever, I'm gonna keep this. Money on it. Just give me that card and cut it right in half, right in front of me. It sure did.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's I was very irresponsible financially, especially when we first got together, and that's why I was so tight in my finances. Not only that, growing and learning from a single mom and then being a single mom myself, I did have someone who was a partner to me that I couldn't trust with money. So that made me even more tighter with money. Which,
when you say tighter, do you mean stingy, Scroogey-like, or just not paying all the bills?
Just not paying all the bills.
Don't want that money to vanish?
Yeah.
So my financial education came in the military. And that's where I learned how to write a check.
Okay.
And, they was teaching us about credit unions and banks. And at the same time, I was like, okay, well, I don't think I'm ever going to have to deal with this because I get a paycheck every 2 weeks and it's guaranteed. So I will never have to worry about money. And so I never really took it serious,
Right.
Until it came real life, basically, when I became a real adult.
Yes.
I mean, in the military, I was 17 years old when I joined the military. So even going through that process, it was just very, it wasn't my priority. It wasn't the number one thing that I was focused on.
Yeah, I can see that. And then from us going from individuals and how we were brought up, and then when we blended together, I'll never forget that first time when we had that talk and you said, babe, okay, we're going to blend our finances. We're going to take your money, my money, we're going to put it into one account and we're going to keep all the money there, pay all our bills, whatever's left over, we're going to split. And I cried like a baby.
Yeah, you did. That was weird. That was so fucking weird.
It felt as if I was losing or letting go of power because I had the power of my money, and it felt like I was going to lose power, and it felt uncomfortable. I kept finance books, and I still kept finance books afterwards. I was like, okay, so this is all the money we have, and
you still got those books.
I still do have those books because it to me it's my financial history. I know that you can look at it in the banks and that.
Very true. So yeah, we kept separate accounts for a long time. Like for a while, everything was separate, and I wouldn't say it's typical, but that was kind of like the getting together, right? Because we don't know. So
Correct.
I'm gonna come with my half, you came with your half, and we have to make it work,
And
right?
it was you paid some bills, I paid some bills, and then we split the rent. And whatever else was kind of ours.
Yeah.
And then we blended, and it was like, okay, let's do this together.
And it seemed like the logic of the bills it's like, how's that conversation go? What bills are you going to pay? It was really like, I like cable and internet, so I'm going to pay that bill. Yeah. You like leaving the lights on, so you got the electric bill.
No, you're like the kids like leaving the lights
kids,
on.
yeah.
And I don't like hearing your mouth about it.
Exactly.
So I'll pay the bill.
so that's kind of how it broke down. It was like, all right, you deal with these things that I like pisses me off, and then I'll deal with these things, and that's how it came together.
Yeah.
And then for a while it was like that, and like you said, we got the blended accounts, but the blended accounts that was kind of different because it was tough for me. What was tough was you took care of all the finances for I don't even know how many years that we've been together. You took care of all the finances,
For a good amount of it.
Yeah, I would say like 5 or 6 years, legitimately. But for me, I was in a weird place, right? Because I wanted you to take care of the finances because I felt like I couldn't bring anything to the table. You know what I mean? I was as a man, I felt like I wasn't rogering up, and it put me in a weird place because you made more money than me. Again, because, I was in my transition from getting out the military and trying to find a job. And so I was homeless and working these odd jobs and
Going through the divorce,
and then finally got a part-time position. So the money wasn't there. And then, in going through a divorce, I have kids that I have to take care of and child support. My paychecks wasn't where we would like them to be.
Yeah, correct. You were getting like half of them.
Half? I remember that paycheck when I got $50.
Yeah.
Literally, my paycheck was $50, and I came to you. I was like, babe, this is what I got. And you looked at me like, I can't get jiggy with this shit. Yeah, it was like, it's like, don't worry about it. But you know what? One of the things that impressed me the most in our early years was you told me, I got you. Don't worry about it. And as reassuring as that was and how it sounded, but as a man, especially being a military man and being raised by men, that was not a comfortable area for me. And my goal was to get out of that, right? As a man, there's only one thing you have to do as a man. You have to take care of your family. And I wasn't doing that.
Yeah. And I definitely appreciate you saying that now. Then I like I said, I came from a relationship where I had to take care of someone, where my mom would always say, well, why are you working so hard? He's not working hard. So I kind of just, I have kids, I got you now, and now I take care of y'all. Like, I got you, you take care of me in other ways. And I just felt like we were solid.
Evenly yoked, as you would say.
Yeah. Evenly yoked. You never laid on your ass. You always worked. You were looking for work, or you were thinking of some kind of a hustle. So I knew you weren't a bum. I knew that. So I definitely had faith in you. I didn't think that we would come to where we are now. By far, I knew we would go places. But
that's funny you say that, because I knew it. Shoot, we doing all right. We doing all right, y'all. So it's a long way from where we were.
Yes. So back in those days, we were living in 2-bedroom with 4 kids, and charging Tommy's car from outside of the window.
The living room, yeah. That was weird. Oh man!
Charging, not his Tesla from
This was not an electrical car. We was charging my Daewoo. For those that know what a Daewoo is, I don't even know if they still make them, but it would not start in the morning unless I slang that 25-foot orange extension cord out the window, plugged it using our electricity on that charger, and hoping and praying that thing would start every morning at 5 o'clock so I can make it to work.
Yes.
And that's when the grind started, man. The grind was right there. And I said, and that's when I made that promise. We would never live like that again.
Yeah.
Ever. And financially, that's when I put my head down and was like, whatever, by any means necessary. Yeah. So from separate accounts into the blended accounts, and then I don't even know what to say take over, but I started managing our finances, right?
I would say as our finances grew, then you took over them. We got to the point you were working full time. I was working pretty much 2 full-time jobs. I know my family, they always say, "Are you Jamaican?" And that's like, "Oh, you got so many jobs." So many jobs.
Shout out to all my Jamaicans. But yes, we've always had 1, 2, 3 jobs, hustles, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, definitely. And for the past two years, I haven't been employed by a corporation, where usually I have been for 2 or 3 jobs, but it's been the same way, 2 or 3 jobs, but just now it's our own company, so it's a lot different.
And I would like for you to even talk about that a little more, because I've been doing business since I was 14 years old, some type of business, making money on the side, as far as my own thing. And now you're like all in as a business owner, entrepreneur.
Correct.
And like you said, used to working 2, 3 jobs at one time. And by all means, bringing in income. It wasn't like there was a lack of income.
Right.
I know you was bringing in so much income, you forget how much money you make.
Yeah, it's true.
You be like,
true.
"Oh, I make this." I'm like, "No, you don't." We fill out an application for the house, and you're like, "Oh, I make this much." No, you don't. You make more than that, because that's the only way we're gonna be able to buy this house. So, so you need to put in all the income that you make.
It's like, I only put the income from this job. Like,
exactly. I'm like, come on, and so now you're an entrepreneur, and that's a different kind of finance. Like that, like to get into where we are today, right? It from the corporate life, I quit my job. After working there for 12 years, pretty good job too. A lot of people told me, and that's the one thing too about our culture is, the first thing they say is, don't quit your job.
You don't quit a perfectly good job.
You go perfect. Yeah, that's it. You know what? You said it perfect. You quit a perfectly good job. It's like, well, that perfectly good job is not getting me perfectly to where I want to be.
Right.
So after 12 years quitting that, and it was a good job. It was a good company. It taught me a lot. And then being on my own. And then we had the game plan, right? It was, I'm going to quit my job, start this business. You make a significant amount of money to be able to back me up
bills,
and
take care of the rent,
the safety
of the
net.
Mortgage. Yep.
And that was the game plan.
Yeah.
And we launched.
And it was good for a year?
1 year.
Yeah. And then
shit went south.
Yeah. My job got hit with a huge disadvantage. I won't go into details, but ended up not having a job, and it was not my fault.
I tell you what the details was. when
Oh, boy.
the last president decided like, hey, we not gonna do all these different things, and we're trying to get rid of Affordable Care Act. Yeah, y'all took a hit.
Yeah,
Y'all took a major hit.
Big hit.
You never hear about a medical or anything medical going out of business,
Right.
And your facility went out of business, bought by another hospital.
Yes, yep. And they decided to get rid of my division. So there we were. It was kind of crazy. And
Scared as hell.
Scary, very, very scary, and stressful.
Very stressful.
I understand. It in a relationship, it seems it's better. It's not all good when you have money, but it's better when you have money, right?
Yeah, it's funny because Warren Buffett says money is not everything, right? And money is not everything, but you better earn a lot before you say something like that, right?
Exactly.
Because people say, wait, money is not everything. If you got a lot of money, you're like, well, you can say that,
Right. It's
so
true.
That's a great quote by Warren Buffett.
It's true. It's true. It's you will think it's like, oh, money's not everything in this relationship. If we didn't have money, we'd be fine, But yeah, you have money probably when you're saying that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that was rough.
And we made it through it, right? It was a weird time. We had just started our coffee shop. I was just starting in real estate. And it was only a year in, and I was like, all right, well, just take some time off and figure out what you want to do.
Yes,
and you was ready to go right back into the game. Like you wanted to keep going. And I was like, nah, just kind of fall back. And mentally you was like, no, we can't. And it was that fear of like, what if we lose?
Yes.
So for a whole year, we did that. And from you starting a yoga studio or partnering up in a yoga studio, and then we lost on that. And finances is not always wins.
No.
There's not always a W when it comes to investing or trying to setting goals and trying to reach a certain point. And there's always a L. There's a story to talk about. And we took a lot of L's.
Yeah, we took a lot of L's before we got over to the W's, and that's correct. And
that's why I consider it sport, right? But you got to be smart about this sport. So when it comes into like investments and things like that, you got to be smart. And in financial education is one thing that, like we talked about, you don't learn it in school. You learn it by trial and error, unfortunately. Yes. But then you want to try to help people out and try and make an understanding. And I would love to get somebody on the podcast here the next time we talk about this that will have the professional
financial education
that and qualified to talk about it. You know what I mean? By all means, we're not qualified to talk about any of the things that we're talking about. We're telling our own story.
Yeah. Which this is a good point. We for us to talk about when we were going through that kind of transition where neither one of us. Well, I wasn't really working. I was getting this yoga studio off the ground. You were getting your real estate business off the ground, but we didn't have any income in. So our mortgage went lax. Different things happened. We just renewed our vows. So in the midst of that, we had to pay for a wedding. We went to Europe. We went to Europe, and it was by the hair of our chinny chin,
which was a beautiful wedding.
It was. We
had about 50 people there.
Anyone there didn't know that we hadn't paid our mortgage for like the last 3 months, right? Like they didn't know that. No. We still smiled. We still had a good time. But one thing that kind of saved us, and we, like you said, were very novice to it, was our investments that we'd made.
Yeah, and investments that we made early on. And, like we discussed, when I took over the finances, I was like, all right, let's start investing in some of this new things that's happening. So like cryptocurrency, I hopped into that very early on. People were talking about it, and it was like, all right, well, let's see what this is all about. So
how many years ago was it, Ben?
Oh, shoot. I think crypto was like 2012.
Okay.
Is when we first got into that. Because we bought our house in 2014. So 2012, we jumped into crypto and we started making investments. And then when Facebook first launched their IPO, I believe I was like, people are on this thing every single day. So let's hop into it. So my first belief was invest in anything that we use.
Right.
Invest in anything that you see your friends using.
Right.
Before, it got all to the do your research, find out if they're cash flowing, find out what their, what their statements and all and the profit and loss. And like I had no idea what any of that meant.
Right.
And I went to school. Like I have a degree in business administration. And you know what if you went to nighttime school after work all day, you know what that's like. You 50% pay attention. The other 50% you just trying to stay awake. And that's what it was like. Yeah, that was it. So I passed, and the financial chapter of that was a little difficult, but that's what I knew. All I knew was we use this product, so let's invest in it. And fortunately, between crypto and some stocks that we invested in, it helped us purchase our home. And then it also helped us pay for that wedding and Europe and things like that. So it was definitely helpful in a sense of taking some risks, and we had some losses in that world as well. You know what I mean? So again, for whatever we do, whatever you're doing, if you're making an investment, fear will never get you to the other side. Right. You got to go through it. You got to be able to take that risk and just see what happens. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Manifesting was one of the biggest things that changed us as well, and you kind of dove, like I introduced you to the manifesting manual, and you took that, just like a lot of other things, you took that to the next level.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It changed my life. It helped me to see things a lot differently. It also made me see that I am basically the master of what I want to bring into my life. And it was that and a couple of other things that made it all kind of make sense to me. But when after I read this manual, and there was all these different meditations and all these money magnets and like all this stuff that you do, and I would tell Tommy all these quirky things and he'd do it. So one of the things was to get $100 in ones and to throw them up and to play a song that was about money. So it's like I want to be rich or whatever. Whatever.
Money.
Yeah. So, and then to throw the money into the sky and say, I'm rich. And so we recorded each other doing it, and then we took pictures of each other doing it.
Now you sound mad cool the way you said it right now, but it was not that cool. Like I tried to be that cool, and you was like, no, you got to get crazy. And I was like, all right, whatever it takes. And and I hate to go off subject just a little bit, but that comes down to, communication, right? It's not the I know better, so I'm not going to do this, but it's like, if you are into it, then shit, why not?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Thank you.
It ain't gonna hurt nothing. So you made me jump up and down. I mean, like I had to get it like at least 2-3 feet up off the ground, throwing money up, listening to this music at the highest decibels of the speaker, and you're videotaping it.
Yes.
It looked like we was making it rain in that living room. Like it wasn't. It's not as cool as it sound. We was at the strip club in our living room.
Really,
but I wasn't stripping.
And that's the one thing that about manifesting is you must act as if it has happened.
Yeah.
And you are ready for it. You're prepared for it.
And be excited about it.
And be excited as if it's happening. So it's not like, oh, I want to be rich. No, we were like, I'm rich. Like on our David Chappelle, like, I'm rich. And I'm like, no, get gritty with it. Like feel it in your heart. Know it. Know it's going to be there. Know it's going to happen. And then, like I said, we put it on our vision boards. And with that, there's other things that we did as far as manifesting. But that was definitely one. I started a money magnet box. And you put a magnet inside of a box and you put it tucked away and you just put money in it. And you put spare change, you put it, pretty soon you're going to need a bigger box. So
exactly.
So it's just little things that we've done.
I'm telling you, like that stuff was impressive. It was inspiring because I'm like, yes, I'm controlling the finances, but you took the finances to the different level.
To spiritual, right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Where we learned that it wasn't, currency wasn't nothing more than just a tool, right? It's energy, So once we had that understanding of how currency actually works,
it's energy that flows, and currency flows.
Exactly, and that's why they call it currency. It flows, right? So we understood once we came to an understanding how the currency worked. I think that's when things really changed for us.
Yes, and one of my favorite things I used to always say is money begots money.
Facts. That's facts. We got into, into the entrepreneur world and running businesses. That was a different kind of money, right? So like I said, I've been doing side hustles and businesses since I was 14, but you don't learn about, how to run a business or how to financially. There's two ways to run a business. You financially run that business, and then you operate that business.
Right.
And for us, that was weird.
Yeah, it definitely
like it came to a point, where I'm learning basic math all over again, and one bad decision will ruin the entire company.
Correct.
Right. So I know you kind of felt some kind of way for a long time because you wasn't even getting paid in the business.
No, I wasn't collecting a paycheck at all and still working. I was kind of like,
working your ass
don't
off.
understand this at all. And, but the bills were still taken care of and things like that. But I didn't have any cash. And then there was a time where I finally started to get paid from the business.
Yep.
And then we had to not get paychecks.
Yeah.
And then
But I was just recently, right? Yeah. So just recently, I mean, pandemic and everything that's happened, you never know what's going on, right? So we're new into this, and we was like, oh, a financial wave hit us, and I had to batten down. This is Navy talk right here. I had to batten down the hatches.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, lock everything down. Nobody spends nothing, and
everything that's gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah,
you gotta
everything.
Go.
I was looking at everything, and then the last thing was, hey babe, we not taking a paycheck for 30 days, like the next month.
No.
And that sounds terrible, but I'm sure there's other entrepreneurs that's like, hey, I take a paycheck for an entire year or whatever the case may be, and I'm not knocking that, right? But I understand because you have a certain lifestyle that you like to keep.
For me, I'm like, hey, I get like these little boxes.
Yeah, you got bills to pay. So you was looking at me like, hey.
Yeah. So my first question is like, so how does that work? With my bills and whatnot. So yeah, that was different. That was definitely different.
But
and a learning experience.
We made it out of that too.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's again, you're not, financial education is something that we don't definitely take lightly. We did a lot of laughing and all that stuff, but financial education is very important. And by any means that you could get out there and learn it, I definitely would push that and applaud you for it. As me personally, as a business owner, I am still taking financial education classes. There's still a lot of things that I don't know, and I just want to know so I can show somebody else and do better in everything that we got going on.
Is that your final thought?
That is my final thought.
My final thought would just be to all parents. Growing up, my mom would tell me things like, it's not my business how much she makes, how much the bills were. She never brought me to the table and showed me anything. I would just applaud people to or employ people to please show their children their books, or just show them a mock copy of bills. This is how much, give them scenarios, but teach your children about education. Even if you pay bills, you don't have to be rich to teach your child about education. All you have to do is pay bills, and teach them that, and that is a great start.
Yeah, that's huge. I love you.
I love you.
If you could do us a favor and take a moment to hit the subscribe button or give us a review. Let us know what you think about this podcast, as that is the best way for this podcast to be successful, especially if you think that it's helping people out, because at the end of the day, that's all we want to do. So hit the subscribe button, leave a review, let us know what your thoughts are, let us know what you think, and we look forward to talking with you next time.
All right. This is Lyfe and Shyt.
Lyfe and Shyt.
Tommy and Dani.